after waiting 2.5 weeks for a victory. Can you believe it? Well, Julie arrived on Wednesday, and now after a 3-week gap, Ipswich Town returned to Portman Road on Saturday, looking to continue this staggering run of form. This is the Blue Monday podcast. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast discussing Ipswich Town up or up since 2015. I'm Richard Woodard and this is the Prematch Show, brought to you in partnership with our mates at the Greyhound Pub. You can join us here live every week on YouTube or afterwards on demand at your leisure, including on podcast audio. And as always, here with all of his mountains of research, Seb Brown. How are you, mate?
I'm good. We seem to sit here every week and I'm running out of superlatives for how amazing it is to be an Ipswich Town fan at the moment. It just gets better and better, doesn't it? It's just, what a time to be a Town fan. Yeah, no matter what comes in our way, we swat it to one side, and now all these stats are coming out today saying first side to reach 10 wins, etc. No side's ever got this amount of points and not been promoted. And yeah, this is truly, truly special.
Yeah, well, and we will continue to remind folk of this every week, but I think no one needs that. I posted the GIF of Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 kind of walk when he turns into goth Spider-Man kind of walking around. I'm pretty certain I haven't walked into town. Not only will there be people this morning walking around that, I think someone in the Telegram group said they were bowling out into the continental breakfast in their hotel near Bristol with kind of the same kind of swagger as well. But there'll be now people in a white and black pinstripe shirt as well. We're doing that kind of smug. Yeah, so we've got plenty to talk about. I mean, there was Wednesday night. We'll talk about that. Saturday, we've got to talk about as well. We've got a new kit, which is something that I can nerd out on for a bit as well. Have we confirmed, by the way, that you are the reason that Rotherham was called off? That was kind of...
It's my fault. Yeah, so for those of us that aren't in our Telegram group, you should join it. Free 2-week trial, then only a minor monthly subscription. I opened the match chat early. I took it upon myself as an admin to leave you some of the admin rights. So I opened the chat a little bit early. It was still the same day, but it all went horribly wrong. And hashtag blame Seb seemed to be trending for most of Friday evening and Saturday morning. So yeah, totally my fault for Rotherham. So apologies to all of us like me who made the trip up there. Never mind the weather, never mind the Rotherham condition at their end. It was my fault for opening up a WhatsApp group to
well, it's part of fixing the problem is owning up to it in the first place. So on behalf of everyone, Seb, thank you for that. Are you going on the 7th of November, by the way?
I am. Yes, I am. So, but I've learned my lesson. I didn't open up the match chat for last night and we got back to winning ways. So lesson learned, hashtag blame Seb trended. I've learned my lesson. I promise I'll never mess it up again.
And what a great gesture by the club, by the way, for the £5 voucher and the priority point as well, regardless of whether people get a refund on their match ticket. Pretty good, right?
Brilliant. Yeah, the points thing obviously has been a bone of contention for quite a lot of the season so far. So to make sure those guys are still rewarded regardless is great news. And the £5 voucher is a very welcome addition. And I wonder what I might be spending that on in the not too distant future.
Yeah, hold that thought. Firstly, we need to say hello to the live chat. There's loads of people here, though. So do say hello to us and get involved in the discussion. Evening to Stuart. What a wonderful Thursday this has been. Shame I have no nails left after last night's final 15. Evening to Dan. Absolutely knackered work, I'd say, but 100% worth it. Yeah, one of those ones. Evening to Charlie. Evening to Lee. Nick. This is all going rather well, isn't it? Exactly right, Nick. Love that. Here he is. Here's Michael in Brisbane. About 30 degrees. Is it? I had to put the heating on this morning. Yeah, not good. Stubbsy is... So I ran out of interesting or witty names for the kind of the video title. So
you didn't go with mine. Disappointed.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
People join Telegram. I'll reveal what it was.
Yeah, there you go. There's an exclusive list. Plymouth, there's nothing offensive about Plymouth. I think all of us kind of, can we not be friends? No, let's move it on. Rob's here. Elliot is here. Philip's here. play average, get 3 points. I'll take that, says Lee. Neil repeats Seb's sentiment. What a great time to be alive, let alone just an Ipswich fan. What a great time to be alive. Loving life and Ipswich. We're loving your positivity, Neil. Evening to Colin. Barron's with us as well. Matt, evening from Portland, Oregon. Say hello if you're in far-flung places. We love that. Australia and America have been already given a name check. Lorraine is with us as well. Martin too. Sunny Braintree. Well, it's fine, Martin. Braintree's good. You know, it's just down the road. So that's fine. There you go. Chris is here from New Zealand, still on a high. Evening to Frank. Nick as well. Watching on the train home from London. Hope the internet is as stable as mine and not someone else in the pod team. Although we might have resolved Mikey's issues, haven't we? So Max is here from Melbourne. Ron on Plymouth. Point to prove. Yeah, we'll talk more about that shortly. 8 hours driving for Elliot. 3 a.m. home shattered. And now time to get beat in the predictions. Evening, guys. Yeah, Elliot. Well, we'll talk more about the predictions later on. Anthony's with us as well. Nick bought the 3rd shirt today and met John Walk buying his one. Surely he gets a discount.
Yeah, doesn't he get a free one, surely?
Surely.
Commercial now, though, aren't we? Commercial, so.
He's already got the original, hasn't he? But we'll
yeah.
Evening to Tim as well. Fun night in Bristol. Matt's with us. Rodders. Norman, reminding us we are now the same amount of points as it took 2 pools and 46 games, Seb. We now have the same amount of points as our 18-19 season, which is just puts it in perspective, doesn't it, as well? Steve's in Cyprus. All are saying Leicester are running away with it, win the game in hand, and ITFC will be 2 behind and yet to play each other as well. Romeo's here. Our mate, the universe, doesn't care as well. The C word. I'm talking about how the sport. Oh, yeah. Well, we don't talk about cricket here.
You're fine. There's no Craig. There's no Dave. You should be fine tonight for that.
Worst case, we might get golf, but I think Seb and I mean, I was about to swear, Seb. I couldn't give a crap about cricket, frankly. So sorry about that. The universe doesn't care. I don't care about cricket. There you go. We need to Gary. And Stephen, bloody hell, everyone's here. Great to have you. Jamie, another one of the late travellers as well. Ian's great to have you too. Got back an hour ago after 2 days in the West Country. I think Ian might have been the person who kind of talked about his walking into breakfast with a bit of a swagger. So great to have you with us as well. And Paulson signing in for Aberdeen. There you go. Maurizio's here. Bluey's here. Bloomin' hell, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Do give us a thumbs up, folks. It would really help us out on YouTube. So thank you, everyone. And apologies that we can't do a roll call to everyone on podcast land as well. You could have, hopefully you just skipped through that bit. But hello to Veronica as well. Finish yourself. Let's talk about Bristol City. So we've had enough sentiment about how great the victory was. I guess some context needed in respect of the performance, the scoreline, etc. A little bit of interesting tactical selections as well, or team selections in the absence of Wes Burns. Do you want to give us your kind of take on Jackson coming in and any key moments that you want to discuss?
Yeah, so obviously the big decision was going to be who was going to replace Wes Burns. It comes down to one of two, doesn't it? It comes down to Caden Jackson, where you're going to get the pace in behind, the willing runner. He probably might track back a little bit more and give a bit more protection to the fullback. Or do you go Amari Hutchinson to kind of fulfill that role on his left-sided, so cutting in onto his left foot, looking to get shots away and crosses into the far post. He goes for Caden Jackson, which I could totally understand kind of why Bristol City played this 3-5-2 makeshift 3 at the back again, with Andy King kind of slotted in there. So I guess McKenna obviously saw, opportunities for space in behind. I didn't think we started that well, to be honest. I thought the first 5 minutes we looked rusty, but to be fair, that's got to be totally expected, having had one kind of in-house friendly mix and match with the under-21s in the last 2 weeks, whatever it's been, 3 weeks it would have been by then, wouldn't it? It was a 2.5 weeks. So I thought we were rusty for the first 5 minutes, but then we settled down pretty quickly. I mean, I remember seeing Morsey give the ball away in the first 5 minutes, and I thought, Christ, I haven't seen that for about 18 months or so. But we settled down to the game nicely, took hold of it as we tend to do, and we started to create more and more chances. I thought Hurst was leading the line absolutely superbly from about 10 minutes onwards. We grew into the game and fully deserved the goal when it came along. I thought they had a couple of early chances, didn't they? A couple of cuts inside, sometimes due to our errors, due to a mix up between Wolfenden and Wolfenden and Morsey for one of them. They get a shot off that goes straight down the throat of Flagkey. But come 16 minutes and after a decent spell of them seeming to get blocks on the end of most things, we will score a lovely goal.
Lovely goal. Happy birthday to Barry Davis, who celebrated his 80th birthday on Tuesday, by the way. We're talking about that on Ben's live stream for the Leicester Sunderland game. Yeah, I mean, it's I was going to say it's a typical Broadhead goal. I'm not sure there is a typical Broadhead goal. I mean, lovely move involving Luongo out left, a lovely first-time ball from Hurst, isn't it? Kind of cushioned side foot volley into the path of Broadhead, who's got space, to be fair to him. And I guess the question, Seb, is whether O'Leary in nets for Bristol City is deceived either by the pace of the shot, because he does ping it, the bounce, because it does bounce just in front of him, or to some of the folk on the Telegram who were very critical of O'Leary, and whether it's just crap keeping. What's your take?
Well, I had the Bristol City camera view on Sky, so I was a million miles out from it. I watched the highlights today on YouTube, but I felt like I was up at St James's Park when you're in the away end at Newcastle. It felt so high up. So on first glance, I didn't really see that much blame attributed to the keeper. But then when you look a bit closer on the highlights that have been released since, I think it's a bit of, to quote Mr. Diamond, a bit of both, isn't it? Broadhead does ping it in, picks up the ball in a bit of space, drives forward, takes a touch right on the edge of the area, gets the shot off. He does connect with it well, but he takes that little bounce, and keeper should probably do better. But we don't care. We deserve that goal. We've been on top of that point and growing into the ascendancy. Like I said a few minutes before, we'd had chances where things were getting blocked left, right, and centre, and the goal was just rewards for the time, because after that first 5 minutes and a couple of shots from them, they went pretty quiet, and we started to get Jackson and Davis involved in behind both fullbacks and creating opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, worth noting that was that's Broadhead's 14th goal in only his 32nd ITFC appearance, and the last player to reach 14 goals quicker than that was one Marcus Stewart. So he's in great company.
Esteemed company.
I thought we probably should have got, I think McKenna mentioned it as well, maybe a couple more by half time, Seb.
Definitely.
I think we were, by the end of the first half, by far the dominant team. But as the away side, you're going to expect the home team to come out you second half, particularly a goal down, and Bristol City, took it to us. But these patterns of these away games that we now see, Southampton was very similar, wasn't it? Sunderland to an extent as well, albeit it was a 2-1 kind of game. QPR maybe to a lesser extent. We've figured out a strategy for these away games, but it does consist of letting the opposition have the ball. And maybe on another day we get punished, perhaps.
Potentially. I mean, we'll discuss the physics-defying effort off the line.
Let's do it now, Seb. Go on.
Okay, so that was created by our own mistake. Obviously, Davis doesn't know the player is there, and he nicks the ball off him, gets the shot off. Lackey gets down, hits the post, hits Lackey on the back, and somehow rolls right across that goal line, and somehow doesn't go across it before Brandon Williams can kind of get back across and absolutely hack it off the line. So there's your bit of luck. That aside, I mean, that is very fortunate to get away with that one. That aside, I think you put in the Telegram group, did Bristol City create that much? There were a few crosses in. Lackey punched a couple, and I was a bit critical and thought, could he have caught them? But apart from that, there wasn't a great deal to do. He makes the one-handed save in the first half, and that physics-defying effort across the goal line aside, in the second half, I don't think they created too much. I thought we started the second half pretty well, and we were decent up until the subs, really. I mean, Hurst went down with that knock and didn't quite see himself afterwards. I thought Hurst was absolutely superb last night. I thought we had a big drop-off when, Dane Scarlett comes on. Obviously, he's not played much football recently. He's still kind of getting to the groove of how we play and how we do things. And I thought Hurst going off, we lost that kind of sticking point up front. And then from minute 75 onwards, it felt like we noticeably dropped down a level in our fitness, which again will come from 2.5 weeks of not really playing, and they kind of had a lot of possession but didn't really do much with it. I thought a few crosses in, but apart from that, a couple of last ditch tackles, one on the right from Williams, one on the left from Davis, but we kept them at arm's bay, and in the end we saw it out fairly comfortably. Arm's length.
Kept them at arm's bay.
Kept them at bay or at arm's length, and in the end we saw it out quite comfortably, I thought. So another disciplined, professional away performance. Should have been more. Morsey hits the post in the first half. We had a handful of ones blocked left, right, and centre in the box. So should have been 2 or 3 at half time, but overall, fully deserved.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you that after the effort that went on the goal line, and isn't it good that we've got goal line technology, so there's going to be no bitter Bristol City fans going to be moaning about whether that was over or not, and conspiracy theories, etc. Your point is spot on. I think. Yes, it wasn't comfortable viewing, and certainly the ball didn't stick, did it, with Scarlett or Harness or Taylor when he came on kind of down that left-hand side. It felt like either they were making really bad choices when they got in good positions, a lot of wasted crosses, a lot of set pieces that were pinged into no one in particular. I thought we were, pretty, not comfortable, but I think we were definitely, to your point, keeping them at arm's bay. So I think a very well-deserved 3 points, and we can dig out metrics and stats and stuff like that. But in terms of XG, which something you and I bloody love, or maybe just me, 0.7 to 1.7 for us. Shots on target 4 to 6 in our favour, but they had maybe one more bigger chance than us, which I can't really remember what it was. So
the header, I think that's probably the header, isn't it, in the first half?
Maybe so.
Conway put straight at the keeper. So professional, deserved, and
I think maybe there was a little bit of miscommunication between maybe Hladky and the centre backs. I haven't got any issue with what Hladky did on the night. I think there was some times where we were unnecessarily playing around at the back. We know that there are going to be moments where we're going to get pressed high, but I think generally we dealt with it okay. But it just, as the away team, it builds momentum in the home support. And I think I've seen Bristol City fans talk about this. Ipswich were under pressure and the keeper was a bit, I don't think, and if you'd watched us every game this season, then that performance and that system, that approach is not new. So we all know about it, but other teams don't. So I wasn't overly worried about it, but I could see how others are. Seb, who was your man of the match? And if you want to give us your man of the match in the chat, do that now, and I'll go through some comments as well from what we had posted as well.
I thought Hurst was superb. I know he only lasted, 70 minutes or so, but I thought he was absolutely brilliant. The way he was holding the ball up, running in behind, had that good effort when he gets into the channel in the first half and gets the shot across the keeper. Obviously the assist for Broadhead's goal. He's spoken in the last week or so, hasn't he, about he knows now, his job is not necessarily to score the goals. He's going to be far more involved with those number 10s behind him. Burgess, I thought, was brilliant as well. Got his head on the end of everything. So either Burgess or Hurst for me. I'd lean more towards Hurst because I thought he was really, really impressive.
I'll lean towards Burgess then, because I thought he was, he was dependable, wasn't he? Admittedly, maybe him and Davis not great for that Cornick moment in the second half, but other than that, just a rock. And and his distribution out the back is pretty good as well. Let's have a quick look through these. If you can keep the comments brief, the reactions on these, Seb, because we're going to run out of time to
go on.
Michael Goodwin felt we missed Freddie coming on for the last 20 minutes or so. Scarlett hasn't really had the opportunity, has he?
No. There was a drop off of him. Yeah, obviously he played with England a couple of games in the international break, but there was a noticeable drop off. I just don't think he could really get into the game. He wasn't offering what Hurst offers, holding the ball up, and we noticeably seemed to drop deeper when he came on because he wasn't providing that outlet at the top of the pitch. And Freddie isn't George Hurst either, but I think Freddie would have done better in that situation.
Yeah. Mr. Portaloo, pitch looked very large. Colin said beautiful pitch, Ashton Gate, and pitch looked very large. Maybe that's why we got Jackson. And Elliot quite rightly mentions enjoyed the win at Mark Ashton Gate. The pitch, and I wonder whether the camera angle is something that we can
Father Ted. These
Mark
ones
Ashton.
Are close. Those ones are far away.
Rob agrees about missing Ladapo coming on for 65. The jury's still out for Scarlett. For me, I appreciate he hasn't played much. I mean, that's the huge caveat, isn't it? Max, 2.5 weeks off, not necessarily affect physical fitness, but definitely affects match fitness. Ran out of puff in the last 15, but held on. Moby, the Hladky defense defense interplay came close to disaster a couple of times last night, but still we haven't conceded a single goal from it.
Exactly,
Would you say close to disaster? Was it? Go on.
I don't think it was close to disaster. No, I think it's what we come to expect now. And like Moby says there, we still haven't conceded a goal from this. We've been playing this way for coming up 2 years now. McKenna joined in December 2021. He's coming up on his 2-year anniversary, not too far in the distant future. And we've still not conceded a goal. This is how it's going to be. I know there'll be times people will have their kind of hearts in their mouths, especially when we play against a team that presses us high, but we have to put full faith in them because this is how we're going to play football and draw teams out to hit them quickly on the counter.
Yep. And that pace of Jackson is part of that strategy as well. McKenna trust Jackson to perform defensive duties with diligence. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame he got a booking early doors.
Awful tackle, wasn't it? That was a really bad tackle.
That didn't help us. Rodders, Bristol pressed us hard, particularly in the first 10 minutes. I mean, the home team, off the back of a victory against Coventry, they want to build on that. But I wasn't overly impressed. Admittedly, they've got some injury doubts there as well. But I kind of felt like they've we set traps for them the way that we set up the second half, and those clear-cut chances just didn't come. It was crosses into the box, it was set pieces, it was speculative efforts, and I kind of think that they run out of ideas, I think, towards the end, which bodes really well for us. Max wants Vaz to command his area a bit more.
There were
every ball he doesn't come for, Burgess nods it his away.
Yeah, that's the big. I guess that's a big debate with Walton. Walton is very good at commanding his area and claiming those high balls in the last minute and dropping down to take some of the sting out of the game. There were a couple of occasions last night. I wanted Clanky to kind of come and catch. I thought a couple he punched when I thought he could have caught, but
Yeah.
overall you can't fault him overall. I mean, like you say, if he's not as big as Walton, so if he doesn't feel comfortable catching the ball, then just get it out of the air. And you've always having Burgess there at 6 foot, whatever he is as a backup is a brilliant backup to have, isn't it?
Yeah, Jack, who's doing great work. He's got a Substack, I think, and is writing blogs. If you join Telegram, he's very prolific over there. Talks about maybe there's a deliberate division of responsibility between the keeper and centre backs, and kind of told them to get on with it. And maybe that's a part of it as well. Rob endorsing Burgess's excellence, won everything in the air. One trip only, and others have said Broadhead, awesome, great goal. Peter, very impressed with Burgess. So yeah, and Lee, we lost shape when Hurst and Chaplin went off. I mean, two key players, right, Seb? You know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Team's built kind of around those, aren't they?
And Chaplin last night, some of his first time passing was brilliant into the channels, into kind of wide areas, through balls for the players up front. I thought he played really well last night as well, Chaplin. But yeah, you lose two of your probably best 4 players on the pitch, then naturally you're going to see a bit of a drop off.
Max Riley mentioning Morsey maybe treading a little bit of a tightrope. So does Brandon Williams. We haven't talked about Brandon Williams yet. I thought he was his usual energetic best, but perhaps again treaded a bit of a tightrope in terms of cards.
I thought Morsey was lucky, I'll be honest. Yeah, I think I counted, was it 3 in the second half after his booking? The one right on the edge of the area, he had one quite late on, and I thought, if this is a different ref, he could well send him off here. So I agree. I thought Morsey was quite lucky. A different ref, and that could be very, very different.
Yep. Romeo mentioning Morsey becoming a player that we can't do without. I mean, the Huddersfield drop points, Seb. It's something to bear in mind with January coming, although...
Well, he's not in the squad, is he? So hopefully he won't.
8 better midfielders somewhere in Egypt. So
yeah, apparently so.
Talking about midfielders, unsung hero, Don Ball. I thought he came on and had a bit of assurance and calmness, didn't he? It's worth giving credit to the squad. We've done it before. Obviously, McKenna shuffles the pack and it doesn't look like anything's different. But these game weeks coming up, Seb, with 3 fixtures in them, we've got Fulham obviously next week as well. Then Swansea. I think, is it Swansea? Birmingham, sorry.
Birmingham,
and then rearranged Rotherham, then Swansea. So they're going to come thick and fast, aren't they? So Don Ball and others are going to have an important role to play.
Yeah, very much so. I thought he did really well when he came on. Like you say, the subs in previous games, this one I don't think they settled into the game as well as recent weeks. Don Ball aside, I thought he came on and kind of got involved straight away. I guess maybe in a central midfield position it's easier, given the role he plays, to kind of influence the game instantly. Whereas if you've got to hold the ball up or you're looking to make runs in behind like Hutchinson was, I guess maybe it can be a little bit more difficult to do. But yeah, in recent weeks, our subs have made crucial differences, and it's going to be a long season. We've got an awful lot of games now before the international break. Injuries are starting to mount up a little bit with Burns and Ladapo, so the squad is going to be needed. And it's great that Don Ball he's barely featured for us in reality last season and this season. I mean, if you add up his game time, it's probably less than 5 completed games or something, isn't it? But if he can come off the bench, add that bit of experience, add that bit of know-how at a crucial time, then he's playing his part.
Correct. Let's have a look at players of the match nominations. Maybe goes for Williams, Romeo Hurst, Burgess, a few of Burgess. Williams keeps coming up. Eric putting Chaplin in there as well. Was unlucky with his spin shot that I think was maybe offside, perhaps. But lots of shouts for Williams, Burgess. But yeah, Chaplin's coming up there. What's your thoughts on Chaplin?
I thought he played well. I don't know how he got that shot off, where he was back to goal and somehow got a touch and suddenly got a shot off. Like I said, some of his first time passing last night I thought was really good. Had that one effort from about 25 yards out, which he fired straight down the keeper, didn't he? But yeah, for me, I just think Hurst was the man of the match for me. But equally, Burgess was, as Colin Plum says there, Burgess was a colossus.
Neil saying ref couldn't wait to book Morsey. It feels like a right.
Well, the ironic thing was, I didn't think his booking was actually a foul. I thought the player almost tripped himself up or something. But the ones in the second half, I think, were booking. So yeah, bit of a tight rope, but he's dodged that one.
Matt Riley mentioning last time we were in Bristol, a very different result, wasn't it? And
but if we hadn't,
Morsey, very different situation as well.
Yeah, but if we hadn't had that evening on Valentine's Day, we might never have got the incredible run since. So,
yep. Agreed with that. I think we've done Bristol. Thank you everyone for your thoughts there on Bristol City. Let's do a bit of a mini roundup for the rest of the championship from midweek. Worth noting that of the championship league table that went into match day 12, of the top 8, only Ipswich and Leicester won. Seb, Leeds lost to Stoke. Preston lost. Preston and Southampton took 2 points off each other. Sunderland obviously lost to Leicester. Wayne Rooney's Birmingham. It kind of feels like Gianfranco Zola reincarnated at
It's not
Birmingham, doesn't
going
it?
well, is it?
Lost to Hull, and obviously Bristol City were in the top 8 as well. They lost to us. So the league table. Let me put the league table. Should we just put the league table up? There's the league table, guys. Boom.
Phenomenal. Look at that. 31 points from 12 games played, 5 points off the top with a game in hand, but crucially, 9 points clear of third place with a game in hand as well. So thank you, Stoke, for doing us a favour last night.
I'm just trying to. Can you? Norwich. Can you see them on there?
They must be there. Surely. No, that's weird. They're not there.
Well, they're playing Sunderland, who are 10th.
Weird. Yeah. How strange.
We'll keep looking for Norwich. If you can let us know if you find them.
Down. Yeah.
That'd be helpful. So yeah, and then on the night of Ipswich 1, Bristol City 0, Seb, we have a third kit, which frankly has been a pretty open secret, I think, for quite a while, though we didn't know the specifics of it, did we? And then it was the Rotherham kind of situation where they had to change things a little bit on their on the kit, the colours and all that kind of stuff. But we now have them. And what's your impressions? I'll put a picture up there. Talk to me about it.
They had me at the yellow badge. I messaged you, I think, beforehand discussing it. And I said, I've not worn the orange one yet. The orange one was my summer purchase, which I haven't worn yet. I wore the black one for superstition for most of this season. And I thought, the third one isn't really necessary. I can't think of too many times we're actually going to need it, but we're a commercial venture now. So I understand why they're doing it. And I wasn't that fussed. And then they revealed it and I saw the yellow badge and I kind of thought, I'm going to have to buy that, aren't I?
Yeah, tidy, isn't it?
It is very nice. Yeah, they've done well again. Obviously, it's a tribute back to the 81, 84 era with the white with the pinstripes. You're the kit aficionado. What is it about it? Does it for you? What's your favourite thing about it?
I think pinstripes you can't go wrong with pinstripes. I remember the mitre kits in the noughties, which brought back the pinstripes. I just think that's a universal of football. You think Yankees, don't you? And that kind of stuff. It's kind of very historic and vintage feel to it. I agree with you. The badge is a nice touch. But yeah, it's just a tidy shirt, isn't it? I think probably the fact that the sleeves don't have the stripes is a bit of an annoyance for me. I quite like the stripes to continue all the way around, but it's just a very tidy shirt, and white and black, very minimalist, isn't it? Maybe a black monochrome badge would have worked well on that, perhaps, because the yellow.
I love the
yellow badge is good. I get that, and I understand how people of a certain era, younger viewers maybe haven't ever seen an Ipswich Town badge, at least in anger, with that. With the yellow on it, but I think another version of that with a monochrome black badge would have looked pretty cool, actually. But it's neat. And what's your take on the third kit for the keepers?
Apparently that was leaked, wasn't it? Apparently it was on something before.
On EA FC 24, the new name of FIFA.
The kids would have seen it before us old people. That looks all right. Again, it looks like you're wearing cycling reflectors on the sleeves like the current goalkeeping clubs are. So I'll be honest, that one doesn't do anything for me, but I probably will be spending some of my hard-earned money on the white.
Yeah. Well, what about the walkout jacket as well, Seb?
Our mate Mark put in our group saying I've always been worried that we haven't got a third walkout jacket, which I thought was quite a funny comment. Kudos to that one. It looks nice. Yeah, it does look very nice. It's just how we run these days, isn't it? And any opportunity to kind of squeeze extra dollar out is what we're going to do. When are we going to wear this stuff, though? I can't work out. I'm looking at the fixture list, and I mean, you can wear it at Birmingham next week if you want to get it out there. And I guess they penciled it in for Rotherham, so maybe we'll see it there as well. But yeah, you don't really need. I can't think of any times we're actually really going to need this thing. But it is very pretty, and I'm sure it's going to sell incredibly well.
Yeah, I know that's the point, isn't it? As well.
Exactly. Do we wear the black one twice? Derby on telly and Burnley away in the cup.
Fine. Yeah, you're right. I think that's that was
it. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, as I said, pretty poorly. Well, Rotherham might have let the cat out of the bag, didn't perhaps last week. I wonder whether it'll be worn up Rotherham because of that fact. Yeah. And the club kind of said, "You've waited for it. The rain stopped it," kind of stuff. So maybe that's in their thinking. But I'd quite like to wear orange at Birmingham. But then I'm trying to remember the last time I went to Birmingham to see Birmingham, not Coventry, because obviously Coventry were there for a season, and we were wearing the bright orange shirt in the 18-19 season, 2-0 up at half time and threw it away.
2-0 so maybe we should scoreline.
Maybe we should, for Paul Lambert, it definitely is. So maybe we should avoid that one. But maybe the white and black at Birmingham. And let's see what the chat has got to say. Universe doesn't care. Like the third kit more than the second kit, and I love an orange kit. There you go. How many times will we wear it? We only, I think we've corrected you there, AD, twice. But yes, still a fair point. It does feel like it's a commercial venture rather than a necessity. But a lot of people, I think, will like the collector's angle to it. A lot of people have also got the copper recreation of the 81 to 84 shirt, so might not feel the need to have to stick 50 quid back in. Well, take 50 foot. What am I saying?
Don't know.
Well, because people don't take money out of their wallets these days, do they? So 55 quid is a bit stretched for some people, so they might not need it there. But Streaky's a big fan, apart from the logo. There you go. And then James B, that old badge is mint. Can't please everyone, can we? But yeah, I think Colin, big fan of the old badge. I think depending on your age, I think you probably depends which side you're
I loved it on the Carers Trust kit a couple of years ago, but we were so crap at football, it kind of feels a little bit tainted. So it's nice to have that yellow badge again on what will presumably be a very good performance whenever we wear it. So I like that kind of link up.
Carnival Nation, I was hoping for the yellow top from the 70s. I think a lot of people are. It's just too loaded, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's
with them lot.
It's going to split opinions straight away. I wouldn't mind it personally, but there we go.
Yeah, Neil, I liked your concept. Gold shirt, Neil, and I put in Telegram. Yeah, I've been mocking shirts up on. I found a little website that allows you to do templates and designs and stuff like that. So join Telegram just for that. Why not?
God, you must be fun at parties.
Yeah. And big shout out as well to Maria Boswell from ITFC women's team, right back slash centre back, who was the star of the reveal video, which is frankly is a big advocate for the women's team and in the women's official supporters club. I thought that was brilliant. So good on the club for involving the women's team and making them such an integral part of that kit reveal and the publicity that's gone with it. Really, really love that. Final bit of news. We are on the news and we're at half an hour.
Still on news, right?
Yeah, so the key step I think is less is more rather than talk faster, because our friends in podcast land probably listen to us at 1.5/2 speed anyway. So if we speak any quicker, it'll be like 4 speed. But our mates at Town Fans Supporting Food Banks are doing another collection for the Plymouth game, and yeah, give us the details.
Yeah, so it's the second one this season. I think Leeds was the first one. So the guys there are doing their great work in the fan zone and at Sir Bobby before the match. You can meet them at either of those locations from 12:30 till 2:30. Cash donations also welcome. If you go like you've got on the screen there, if you're watching, there's a list there of recommended items. If you're listening on audio, please check out their Twitter page or X page at ITFC_FSF for all the details, recommendations, what to bring, cash donation kind of details as well. Brilliant cause. They do fantastic work. Please get yourselves along then. If you can help out, please do, because yeah, we've said it this time. We've said it so many times before. It's an example of the great power that football can do when people come together. So if you're in a position to help out, please do.
Couldn't say any better. Well on, Seb. Totally agree with that. Finally, I mentioned them just briefly. No match for ITFC women this weekend. They are back in action in the League Cup against Cardiff, away at Cardiff Longhold Journey, that next Sunday, the 5th of November, and then have drawn Northampton in the first round proper of the FA Women's Cup as well. So if you're interested in travel to Northampton as part of the collective, then head to at ITFC WOSC, the supporters group. Otherwise, if you can make it under your own steam, details on Northampton's women's Twitter page or X page, given we are following Elon's branding there by Seb. Finally, 32 minutes in, Seb, we could talk about Plymouth. And whether you are like me, haven't got any particular axe to grind with Plymouth and don't mind calling them a friend from League One, or whether you think they were a bit mardy and triggered by all of the chat about us at the end of last season, it's worth noting that fantastic season for them last season, wasn't it? And, you know, obviously aspirations to be at championship level, but historically kind of maybe have yo-yoed around a little bit. And probably in the kind of middle of the pack, as it were, for the 3 promoted teams, with Sheffield Wednesday very much at the bottom and Ipswich very much at the top.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, we were all 3 of us were neck and neck last season for most of the campaign, and we've had 3 very, very different starts. This one, we're flying high, obviously. Wednesday are in a hell of a predicament at the bottom, still winless. I think it's the worst ever points tally by a championship side at this point. And Plymouth are doing okay, aren't they? It was an important win last night. We'll discuss their game last night. It stops a little bit of a dodgy run of form, and I guess their views, their goals for this season will simply be to kind of establish themselves maybe in that lower third of the table with a look to consolidate and kind of push on next season. They've still got this incredible home form we'll discuss. It's hit the ropes a little bit recently, but we seem to talk about that every single week last season. That's still a factor, but they have got issues with away games, which they're going to have to kind of sort out at some point, because I don't think they're going to be able to rely on their home form this year like they did last year.
No, thank you to David for the super
Legend.
sticker. Appreciate your support as always, David. Great to have you with us. If you want to do likewise, there's a button on YouTube in the chat box. But otherwise, as we always say, a thumbs up is very good for us as well. So thank you once again, David, for your support of everything going on here at Blue Monday. Let's talk about the form then, Seb. You mentioned 18th, 15 points, 6 points clear of the drop zone. Form is kind of a bit inconsistent. That's probably the headline there, wasn't there? You mentioned the positive home form to start the season, but it has tailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the away form, though.
So the away form for them is they're currently 22nd with 3 points. They haven't won a game away from home yet. They've played 6 away from home park, won none, drawn 3, lost 3, only scored 4 goals on their travels and conceded 9. Their last 5 away is 2 draws and 3 defeats. So again, like last year, they've kind of got this really decent home form, keeping them outside of the relegation zone. But their away form, they've not won now away from home in a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff for over 12 months, which sounds insane when I saw that stat. So I had to double check it. But they're going to have to sort that out pretty quickly because, as I said a minute ago, they can't surely count on the same level of home form keeping them out of it at the moment. Their home form is pretty good. They're 6 points clear of the relegation zone. It was a dodgy run until Sheffield Wednesday came to town last night, which is probably the game you want if you're struggling a little bit. You know, if you can get Wednesday to come to town, then you're gonna bounce back hopefully, and that's what they've done to arrest a recent slide. But they've got a bit of work to do, I think, to make sure they can get over the line and consolidate this year with this awful away record.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was going to say something, but I'm going to keep it in my head, keep it to myself. Benjamin giving a shout out to Mustafa Bundu. We will talk about him shortly. One of quite a few loans and young players and players who like to ping shots from left, right, and centre, don't we? Remind us of the stats from last season, Seb.
As we all know, yeah, last season, champions with 101 points. I think they won the league. I'm not sure they mentioned it too much in the summer. But yeah, 101 points, champions, played 46, won 31, drew 8, lost 7. This insane home record, 61 points from 23 games played at home park, 2.65 points per game. And to put that in perspective, if they hadn't played any away games last season and just played the 23 games at home, they still would have finished 12th in League One. It was an insane record. Only 2 defeats there all season, an absolutely crazy record. We discussed it throughout last year, not just on the pre-match show for the Plymouth game, but at other times throughout the season. There were issues. Did the underlying numbers at both ends of the pitch kind of mask performances, and were they ever going to get found out? Is there a bit of an argument maybe that's happened now? They've kind of stepped up. I mean, their XG, I know a lot of people aren't fans of XG, but it does give you a pretty good idea of the qualities of chances you're creating. Their XG last season was 55, but they scored 82 goals. So they massively overperformed the quality of chance created. And they had this issue with Michael Cooper, where we'd all agree he's a top draw goalkeeper. He was the second highest goals prevented with 8th in the league, and he didn't play for the last 4 months of the season either. So there were these underlying numbers at both ends of the pitch, which we kind of thought at some point that luck will run out. You know, these deflected last minute winners that we were bemoaning, as we found out when they came to Portman Road in January, we kind of kept saying to ourselves, this can't go on forever. But sure enough, it did last season. Is this something they have to fix this year in order to kind of progress? I think so. I don't think they can get away with it as much this year.
Yeah, so it's a really good shout here from Dan in the chat. Darren Moore knew how to play us due to League One matches the Wednesday. The Schumacher also have that advantage versus other Championship managers. I mean, it's worth noting, to Philip's point here, we owe Plymouth 1. I kind of felt like that home match, they did get out of jail at Portman Road, didn't they, in January? We'll talk more about that game shortly. But I think Darren Moore at Huddersfield, I don't know whether it was the new manager bounce or a little bit of understanding about how we go about things. Your thoughts on, we'll talk about Schumacher as well, but is that a factor?
I think it's the football as well, though. Darren Moore plays more direct football, which sometimes we can struggle with a little bit, whereas Schumacher plays a similar brand of football, I would suggest, to us, with kind of, you know, attack is one of the best forms of defence type style play. So we do owe him one. Last year, we only took that point off them, but they were lucky at Portman Road. You know, that deflected last minute goal from Ballymumba off Cameron Burgess, wasn't it? That was a real get out of jail for them, because, you know, they think they'd lost to Wednesday the week before, hadn't they, if I remember rightly, and they came to us. And yeah, I just think that they were incredibly lucky that day. And yeah, I wouldn't fear. I don't fear playing Darren Moore, but I'd always suspect Darren Moore could probably do a job on us. I don't have that same thing about Schumacher personally.
Okay, yeah, and we always kind of big up the opposition and what they're thinking, and I'd imagine there's quite a few people in the town dressing room, including Kieran McKenna, who want to kind of exact some revenge for that defeat in January, and the draw in January, and even the defeat
We
in
played really well,
September as well.
Yeah, we played well that day, didn't we? 1-0 up through Ladapo. We played decently on the day. It wasn't a performance where we kind of, got ourselves out of jail. I thought we were good. We conceded 2 long-range goals, one of which I think was deflected. So yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, I think McKenna is that good. I'd imagine any manager that does get the beating of him, I've got full faith he learns from it and won't want a repeat performance.
Historically, Seb, we've got the better of them, haven't we?
We
but
have.
of late, mixed bag, isn't it?
Yeah, 23 wins for us, 16 draws and 13 Plymouth wins. We've discussed the 1-1 draw back in January. Our last win against them was March 2022. We were closing down on the playoffs in McKenna's kind of first 3 or 4 months in charge. Morsey with the only goal of the game. They were on a crazy run then as well. I don't think they conceded a goal for something like 8 or 9 games before that, but we were pretty good that day. I don't think they really threatened us too much. It was a professional performance. The last Plymouth win at Portman Road was back in 2010. Paul Mariner, the legend, was in charge, obviously, for Plymouth. Roy Keane was in our dugout. They beat us. Yeah, they beat us 2-0. They were 23rd at the time and beat us 2-0. We were 16th. So, it was just a horrible season under Keane, wasn't it? But great to see Mariner come back to Portman Road. Unfortunately, they did us over and won, but that was their last victory. So you have to go back 14 years to find their last win at Portman Road.
It's a long old trip for them going west to east as well, isn't it? We mentioned Stephen Schumacher. I mean, pretty decent record. And 19 is Saturday his 100th game in charge, I think. Well, look.
Yeah, so he's been there since December 2021. Joins a couple of weeks before McKenna joins us. Previously, the assistant manager to Ryan Lowe. They both moved across from Bury. Obviously, Ryan Lowe goes up to Preston. Schumacher gets the gig full time. Managed 99 games, won 57, drawn 16, lost 26, 1.89 points per game, which I think we'd agree is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and his recruitment has been pretty good. I think we talked obviously about the January acquisitions having to do with the departure of Whittaker's injuries as well to the likes of Cooper. And you've described it here, getting the band back together. It's definitely that, isn't it? But fair play to them. There was some money spent here. We got a lot of stick from opposition supporters, probably Plymouth fans as well, about the money we spent in League One. But there's some 7-figure sums being chucked around here by Plymouth, and probably some of these permanent signings, Seb, I'd half expect maybe Plymouth to be doing a little bit better given the caliber here, but they are young players perhaps, and that maybe there's some inexperience there. But talk us through the 10 arrivals in the summer, of which we probably know most of them.
We do, yeah. I mean, you mentioned it's a young side. It is the 3rd average youngest squad in the league behind Sunderland and Blackburn, just over 23 years old. So it is a young squad. As I've just said, getting the band back together is the tagline I've put on the script for this, because they've basically gone out and signed the players that got them over the line last year. Ballymumba, we know all about him. Obviously, he's joined permanently from Norwich. They break their transfer record twice in a week with Ballymumba for £1 million, and then Morgan Whittaker rejoins for £1 million. They had him on loan for the first half of last season, gets recalled by Swansea in January. There's all these rumours he's going to go back to them or go elsewhere. He doesn't, so they move quickly and sign him permanently. This summer is a brilliant buy. Finn Azaz was on loan there last year. He's rejoined again. He had an injury last year, a bad injury, but he's joined on loan again for another year from Villa. And they've kind of gone out and signed these younger Premier League development players, presumably with an eye to either develop them and they might obviously go back to their parent sides, or if you can develop them enough to make them good enough for our level, but they're not going to get in their Premier League parent side squads, then potentially you can kind of do a bit of business and get them relatively cheap and look to develop them further. So they've got Kane Kessler Hayden, who's a right back or a left back. He's coming on loan from Villa. Luke Cundle, central midfielder's come on loan from Wolves. Lewis Warrington on loan from Everton. They signed Lewis Gibson, a highly rated centre back, on a free from Everton. Mustafa Bundu, who scored a free kick against Sheffield Wednesday last night in off the bar. He's a striker who can play either as the focal one or either side. He's joined for undisclosed free from Anderlecht. So they've kind of gone out and got the best players they had last year on loan and made them permanent. And this kind of strategy of these younger Premier League development in the 20 to 22 age bracket. And I guess they'll hope that, the parent clubs in the summer might say, oh, no, they're not for us. They won't get in our squads. And they can try and make these kind of similar £1 million signings like they have with the Mumbas and the Whittakers of this world.
Yep. And again, similarly, these supplement the transfers that we talked about in January as well. So yeah, it's a decent squad, but it's kind of an inexperienced / developing squad with some Premier League quality kind of sprinkled in there as well. I mean, in terms of departures, I don't think there's anything major. We talked about Narlanis to Blackburn. That's probably the only
It's a
one.
clear out of squad players. That's all it is in reality. No one on that list you look at that and go, oh, that's a bit of a shock. The only one that jumped out to me, Conor Grant went to Port Vale. I remember him doing really well for them a couple of years ago, but he moved on to Port Vale. So
Jeff Cott as well was rated at one point as well, but he's off to
highly rated, but he went off on loan last year somewhere else as well. So yeah, I don't know what's happened there. And the rest of them, James Wilson, our old player, goes to Bristol Rovers. Danny Mayer goes to Fleetwood. So it's a clearing of the decks, really, isn't it, to bring in the more established quality.
It is. Let's talk about the style of play. Talk to us about this then. Go on.
Well, we know them as a 3-4-2-1. That's what they played predominantly in League One, and with the two number 10s behind the main striker. That's kind of how we knew them. They've moved to more of a 4-3-3 predominantly so far this season. They've used it 9 times. The 3-4-2-1 has still made a couple of appearances, but 4-3-3 seems to be the way they're kind of going. They're very much mid-table for possession, 48%. They like conceding shots to teams. They've conceded 15 shots per game, which is the 4th highest. Only made 13 tackles per game, which is the 2nd lowest. Their 21 goals scored, however, is the joint 4th highest in the league. So they do know where the back of the net is. They're not a side that's afraid to get shots off and to score goals, but they will be open at the back and concede a lot of chances as well. They love a shot from outside the area. They're joint 3rd for that. 43% of all their shots come from outside the area, which is just a bit ahead of us. 36% of ours come from outside the area. So, yeah, they will score goals. They will concede a lot of chances, and they love a pop from outside the area, which makes sense when you consider the likes of Morgan Whittaker and Ballymumba. How many times last season against us in the September game, for example, did we see them line one up from the edge of the box and look to get a shot off?
Yeah, well, and the game against Sheffield Wednesday midweek, the 3-0 victory, you got Bundu with a free kick, as you talked about, Whittaker and scoring as well. Hardy, we'll talk about him in a second, but had less possession and the XG was kind of marginal as well. So yeah, they are kind of, it's these efforts. It's taking a punt that definitely feels like it. But there's got to be a level of quality there as well. I mean, Whittaker's shots on target is crazy, isn't it? We'll talk about that in a second. But it's only a fluky tactic if it doesn't come off. When it becomes a repeated pattern, it becomes a system, doesn't it? An approach. You've kind of got to respect it, haven't you?
I remember sitting here on the January show before the Plymouth home game, and you said the exact same thing. You said the more it happens, it's not a fluke. It's a fluke if you could do it for half a season, it falls away. If you just keep doing it, eventually it becomes the norm. So they've clearly got this mentality of, if you're in and around the box, have a pop and see what happens. And so far, it hasn't caught up with them.
Give us some stats for Hardy and Whittaker. They're probably the two standout players for them.
Yeah, well, Hardy's the top scorer so far this season, the focal point of the attack. 6 goals, 3 assists. He got 13 goals and 4 assists last season. Morgan Whittaker, we know all about. I'd have loved to have signed him personally. I think he's a class act. 5 goals, 3 assists so far this season. He's got the most shots on target in the league with 19. Averages 4 shots per game. He's an absolute class act. And it's worth pointing out, Michael Cooper is now back as well. So he had that horrible injury back in February time. He's now back, and he's kept clean sheets in his last 2 games, so he's yet to concede a goal this season. Very highly rated keeper. Obviously, we sat on here. I think we had the Walton Cooper debate at one point last season about who we'd rather have. So it's good to see him back playing, because it was a horrible injury. Good to see him back playing, and so far he's not been beaten. And
he's quoted in the press as saying he's the strongest he's ever been as well. There you go. So big claims there. Other we mentioned other names as well. Luke Cundall in there as well. Three goals and an assist from his 4 starts, which is a pretty good conversion. Matt Butcher and Dan Scarr in the top 3 blocks per 90 in the whole division. So they'll get stuck in and stick their body on the line. But realistically, it's those threats from shots around the penalty area, isn't it? There's a little bit of an injury-ish situation in the left back spot, though.
There is, yeah. So Saxon Early, Brendan Galloway, and Macaulay Gillespie are all currently out injured. They're the 3 natural left-footed players in the squad. They're all out injured at the moment. So they're kind of shunted Kane, Kessler, Hayden across. He's right-footed, but he can play at left back. But he's shunted across a little bit. And it's worth noting that Anthony Masaba, the Sheffield Wednesday right winger, was getting quite a lot of joy down that side last night. So that could be an area of opportunity for us, given either Jackson's pace or Hutchinson's trickery against him.
Going to say hold that thought. Let's finish off with some stats then. A really good point from Philip that a lot of Plymouth's goals have come at home, particularly in that 6 they scored against them lot.
Yeah.
But away from home, a bit of a different story.
Only 4 goals scored. Like I said earlier, it's the third lowest. All the 4 goals have come from open play. They haven't scored a set piece or anything on their travels, and they do not start games well. 4 goals conceded and none scored in the opening 15 minutes of away games is the joint worst in the league, along with QPR.
There you go. We'll talk about us in a second. So give us your thoughts on any changes that you'd make to the team on Wednesday night against Bristol City, particularly on that right-hand side, as we were talking about that. Do you retain Caden Jackson or do you bring in Amari Hutchinson, and anything else that you have in mind as well? But it's worth calling out a few bits and pieces. As always, we're in partnership here on the Prematch Show with the Greyhound. I was going to say the Great Greyhound Pub.
The Great Greyhound.
In Ipswich. Easy for me to say. But if you're looking for a pre-match venue on Saturday, you can, well, best place to go. Greyhound. It'll be packed outside, assuming the weather's not crap. And probably even if the weather is crap, it'll be packed outside anyway. So get there early. You'll see probably many members of the Blue Monday Telegram group and the pod team there on Saturday. So do head there. The Flagship Show's back on Sunday, 8 p.m. on Sunday, to talk all about the Plymouth game after the fact. And as always, Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk is where you need to go for all of the links for videos, socials, podcasts, and our merch store, which has a 25% promo right now. So if you're watching this on YouTube and if you're listening to this before Friday morning, get 25% off Blue Monday branded merch right now. If it's too late, we'll let you know next time there's a promo on. Also, we're really happy to affiliate with Where the Sport, as in WEAR, Where the Sport. Friend of the pod, set up his own football kind of branded clothing site, Where the Sport, and it celebrates iconic Ipswich Town players from past and present. And if you use the promo code Blue Monday, all one word in caps, you can get 15% off your entire order. So head to wherethesport.com or at wherethesport to figure out what you're going to purchase. Good stuff there. And if you want to join the Telegram group, we mentioned that a couple of times as well. Head to Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk. Joining link is there. 2 weeks on us. There's a subscription thereafter, and the match day chat will be open by me, not Seb, on Friday afternoon, and it will be bustling on Saturday, I'm sure. Seb, talk to me about what Kieran McKenna might be thinking after Bristol. Tied legs, we talked about those. Right hand side, we talked about that. Anything else that's
we know Burns. He revealed, didn't he, in the studio for Town
Burnsy?
TV that it's with Burns. I said Burns. He revealed.
It's like me and Burnsy.
We're best mates. Me and
Wales.
Wales. Brilliant. He revealed, it's going to be weeks, not months. I think he's hoping to be back in the November international break. So I guess that right-hand side is now up for grabs for the next, half a dozen games or so. Is it going to be Jackson with his pace in behind? I guess Ballymumba kind of will be playing on that side. So do you want to keep him pushed back? Or do you go for the trickery of Hutchinson? I'd like Hutchinson to start being a home game, personally. I thought Jackson is a brilliant runner. He'll run all day for you, but I was getting frustrated last night the amount of times that his crosses would simply find the first man and be cleared fairly easily. So I'd like to see Hutchinson coming on that right-hand side. I like the relationship that he's got with Brandon Williams. And I think that cutting inside on his left foot to get shots off and crosses into the back post could be a really useful weapon. So that's what I would do. And I guess the rest of the team, there's a short turnaround time, isn't there? Obviously, we haven't played for 2.5 weeks and suddenly you've got 2 games in the space of 3 days. I think it will probably be similar to what we saw the other night, the established now first choice 11, barring any kind of knocks or anything. And I guess if you can hopefully get a couple of goals up by the 60-minute mark, then you look to make the change with the likes of Ball and Taylor coming on for Luongo and stuff as he starts to tire. What would you do? Would you keep it all the same and maybe look to bring in Hutchinson, or would you keep Jackson in?
I think it will be unchanged unless there's a situation we're unaware of. I just think McKenna quite likes the ability to bring Hutchinson off the bench.
Yeah.
Against a tiring left back, albeit Mumba is going to be pretty athletic and energetic anyway. So I like I would like to see Hutchinson start. I like the partnership he has with Williams, but I think pragmatically thinking, I think Jackson's probably the better bet. But we shall see on Saturday. What do folk in the chat have to say? Neil, Plymouth had 7 players booked against West Brom last Saturday. Maybe a little bit.
He made 6 changes as well last week to try and break the run of form. So, I think he was just scrabbling around trying to find something. And maybe, what did Roy Keane always say? If you're not playing very well, just go out and smash somebody. Maybe that was their approach.
Just signed Thomas Priskin. Colin and Romeo both want Hutchinson. To start, Romeo says Jackson back on the bench. Other than that, go unchanged. Nick, similar to me, same again. And Eric, yeah, they have a 5-hour trip. Worth noting that, I guess. Michael wants Hutchinson, maybe rest Massimo and Taylor to play the first 60 minutes. Your thought? That was playing on my mind as well. But
yeah,
Cup is midweek, and you'd expect Taylor to start in the Cup, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and Don Ball will get a run out as well, maybe at right back or maybe in the defensive midfield position. So, yeah, for me, I'd start Luongo and Morsey personally. But if you are in a position of strength in the second half at some point, then obviously you look to make that change to kind of rest him a little bit because he looked leggy, but I would look to start them both because they're by far and away our strongest central midfield.
David's bringing back in Clark, which is an interesting call. I think a lot.
Oh, I wouldn't, David. No, I'd stick with Williams. I think
but he wants Hutchinson as well. And Streaky 94, Jackson will start again. Hutchinson better as a sub. So yeah, I think there's an agreement there as well. And Eric asks, do we have Blue Monday earrings? Asking for a friend. I'm sure, not at the moment, Eric, but I'm sure we can sort that out. I'll add that to the list along with Craig's radiator keys, branded radiator keys. So yeah, I think that's we'll add that on the long list. Mark wants to see Taylor get a chance and Hutchinson to start as well. So,
but you can't break up that partnership at the moment, can you? Because Luongo and Morsey, it's working so well. Taylor, I think at some point, I mean, especially if we get to the Oceania Cup in January, I think there's a good chance Luongo will go away now, and that's going to be Taylor's opportunity. But until then, barring suspensions or injuries, I still think they're the first choice for me by a mile.
Asia Cup, Seb, come on.
Yeah, I know, I'm taking the piss because
I know you are.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah, we'll keep the Oceania Cup at Arms Bay, shall we? Let's do some predictions. Get them in the chat right now. We want your predictions for the round of.
Let's not bother. We're quite close to the hour mark. Let's just
I've purposefully left enough time to do it, Seb. So let's do predictions now. Get yours into the chat, and we'll come to those in a second. Big shout out to Ed Lane editors. Every week I am so chuffed that we get to play editors' music on the podcast. That's the instrumental version, as I've said before, but a bit of desire, Seb, at the beginning really gives us a lift. So thank you to Ed and all the great stuff that editors are doing. And check them out. If you've always thought, who's that band that the music is on Blue Monday? It's Editors. Go and check them out on YouTube. In the description on YouTube, we've linked to the full song that's in our intro and outro. So go and check them out. Seb is reluctant to look at the predictions results because he knows what's coming, and it's another victory for the host. But squeaky bum though, only 1 point to Elliot, who on his debut gets 7 points. So congratulations to Elliot putting Seb in his box. 3 points though, Seb. 3 points. Or would the Ipswich game have made a difference? We will never know.
Yeah,
what we can do is we can come back and it's locked out now. So
I'm going to go full Jurgen and demand a replay between you and me for last week because it was all thrown out of kilter.
But yeah, there is now an 8-point gap between Seb and I.
All right.
And a 4 rounds gap between Seb and I. But it's early doors. It's only November. Well, it's November next week. So you've got plenty more balls to be kicked, predictions to be won and lost. And Seb, there are some interesting games this week. There's some derbies in there as well. Leeds, Huddersfield, I would say, is a derby. Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham is a derby. Coventry, West Brom is a derby as well. Watford, Millwall, maybe. So quite a few local derbies in there. Some consistency with the predictions as well. We're all going 3-0 leads for Huddersfield. Darren Moore.
Back, weren't they?
Is Darren Moore, who's going to get sacked first? Gareth Ainsworth or Darren Moore again? It's a weird situation at Huddersfield, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's not. They started against us, and he was up for it, and the crowd were up for it, and they were direct. And I kind of thought, he'll get them organised and get them tough to beat, and they'll kind of start to move away from it. But he's not been able to get them going at all, has he? I saw the owner came out on Twitter the other night and said, blame me, send the grief my way. I'm big enough, I can take it. And yeah, the longer that goes on, you can't get them firing. I guess you wouldn't sack him this quickly. I mean, Christ, no. Even for a championship club, that would be insane. So surely Ainsworth is next on the next up for the firing squad. But unless Moore can do something, I guess you've got to give him January to try and get some of his own players in and see what they're going to do. But yeah, after that, I thought they'd move away after they played us, but zero impact at all, really.
I mean, most pundits and analysts were predicting to struggle this season anyway. So
yeah,
hardly a surprise. But yeah, after the point against us, it's kind of downhill. But if you're looking for an indication as to maybe why to not sack your manager, Wayne Rooney's had a pretty lousy start with Birmingham. We're all predicting a Southampton victory there. That's the midday kickoff live on Sky.
Yeah, and he's changed formation and gone more defensive, and it was fine. It was working fine. You know, Eustace had them with their
leave it
sixth.
alone,
Yeah, it was
Birmingham.
fine. And they've got all this undefeated branding behind him in all the press conferences for this new, is it a clothing brand or something they're trying to plug? And it's not started well at all, has it? And obviously they're playing Southampton away. Is a tough game to go to. We're all predicting a defeat for him there. And then we're coming to town next weekend. So it's a bit of a baptism of fire. And for me, it's an exact repeat, isn't it, of the old Zola and Gary Rowett situation from 8 years ago, wherever it was.
Indeed. Well, we're predicting Southampton there, and I quite like the QPR Leicester scores. We've gone 3, 4, and 5-0.
Surely he'll go if that happens. I've gone 5-0. You've gone 3-0.
He's not going to beat Leicester though. So why would you sack him after Leicester? If you're going to sack him now.
Well, they should have sacked him after the. Well, did they lose 4-0 before the international break? And for some reason,
they
they
lost
didn't
to Cardiff
then.
Midweek as well, didn't they? 4-0 as well.
Yeah, they're going to have to pull the trigger soon. Maybe
no, West Brom. Sorry, 2-0 wasn't it, West Brom? But they had a man sent off. So
they're going to have to do something soon because that's the saving grace for, I guess, Huddersfield, is that there might be a couple of basket cases below them that's going to take 2 of the 3 spots.
And Sheffield Wednesday obviously got rid of Munoz, and that's not really changed anything either. We're all predicting that to be a pretty dour game. Elliot going for the 1-0 Sheffield Wednesday victory, though, but both of us going for 0-0. Let's focus on us, though. I'm predicting goals. I'm predicting a 3-2. Elliot's predicting a 3-1.
Even though they've scored 4 goals away all season.
Yeah, well, I didn't read that bit of the script before I acknowledged Richard in. But it doesn't matter. We're open at the back.
It'll be 3-2 now, and yeah, you'll win predictions next week as well. So.
You got for a 2-0. You're pretty confident.
I am, yeah, confident. You know, they concede away from home. They don't score away from home. We do owe them one, as we've discussed a couple of times throughout the chat. And I just think we look so good. Who'd have thought an Ipswich Town side could be so good at football after years of dross? Yeah, exactly.
Who'd have thought it?
I think fairly comfortable. I'm thinking Stoke home vibes, where we score in the first half. It's comfortable, and we see it out at some point around 60, 65 minutes with a second. So, yeah, I can't see this being too difficult, to be honest.
Fair enough. Well, I can't say better than that, so we'll leave it at that. Worth knowing we've got a lot of predictions in the chat, so we'll come to those and try and put as many on the screen as we can. I think the first one I found was AD, so I'm going to go for that. And he's endorsing your 2-0. There's AD with his 2-0. Colin's also going for a 2-0. Philip's gone for a 6-1.
That'd be nice.
Kind of ordination, 3-2. Lots of suggestions for Blue Monday merch coming in. Left-handed screwdrivers, asks Elliot. Lee wants a Blue Monday thong, as long as I don't have to model it, Lee. No one wants that. Nick wants a 4-0, though. 4-0, we can't put that in the merch store, but there's your prediction there. 3-0 for Benjamin, 3-1 for Rob, 2-0 for Matthew, 2-0, can't see them scoring. 1-1, says Lee. Lee, no, all of this optimism surrounding...
Presumably a last-minute Whittaker or Mumba deflected equaliser, I assume.
Renarin, I could say the word shithouse. I said it twice. He said it twice. 4-1 says Max and Mr. Portaloo as well. 2-1 says Romeo. You've got a 3-2 from Julian. 3-0 for Mark. 3-1. Hurst with a brace. Wouldn't it be great if Hurst gets a hat-trick, Seb?
Yeah. That'd be great, yeah.
Max wants Hurst to score first as well, or Hurst to score any time when the fun stops. Jack, go for a 3-1. Streaky, a comfortable 3-0 in front of a near sell-out crowd. Michael, 5-3 to Town, back to the days of Joe Royal. 2-1 for Mr. Ipswich Town. They're a bit of a bogey team. Kel's going 3-0. I'm getting a match for Reading Tractor 3-2. All sparks in the live lounge by Editors is class. There you go, Mark. Shout out for more Editors stuff to check out. First album in the back room, great, says Kev as well. Back catalogue is excellent. There you go. Eric's gone for a 3-0. Nick, I have a good feeling that we will end the Plymouth jinx in inverted commas. He's saying home win. Colin's going 2-0. Kev 2-0. 3-1. And we've got another Asia Cup there from A, just to remind us. One trip party 3-1. Lots of 3-1s. There we go. Lots of stuff. We don't do 3-1s on Kieran McInnes, as Michael's reminded us of that as well. And Steve, thank you for the £5 super chat. Very much appreciate that. First sub from me. Appreciate it. Well worth it. Thanks for an enjoyable Thursday evening in sunny Cyprus. Of course it is in sunny Cyprus, making us jealous. But thank you, Steve, for your support there. If you're going to do likewise in the super chat, there's a button in the live chat on YouTube, but thumbs up is great as well. Lots of you here. Thank you everyone for your company tonight. It's been fantastic. So thank you for the numbers. And Facebook, I see you too. Ben, Matt, Elliot, Angela and Julie. Thank you for your thumbs up on Facebook as well. A lot of folk predicting Rooney might be next. Got a 6-2 prediction, Seb, a 4-0, 5-3, 3-2 from Angela Blimey. They are coming in. 2-0. Graham is here. 2-0 Plymouth. There we go, Graham. I was wondering when Graham was going to turn up. Kieran's going to finish this off, though. 37-0 to Ipswich, Seb. We'll come back next week. We'll figure out whether 37-0 is right. Maybe don't hold your breath, though. Not sure. We'll find out. Keep going. Jamie's gone for a 4-0. Thank you, everyone, for your predictions. We've got a 12-0 Leicester QPR prediction as well from Max, too. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, everyone, so much for all of your support tonight. Super chats, likes, thumbs up, everything. Great engagement in the chat as well. We appreciate you. Thank you for your insights, your views. We'll be back on Sunday evening, so do join us then to talk about the game after the fact. And hopefully you feel much wiser to sound off in front of your mates with all the stuff about 4 goals away from home and players on loan from Villa.
They start rubbish. That's the one to impress.
Start rubbish. There you go. Yeah, remind us of that. So thank you, Seb, for all of your hard work as always putting that together. And a reminder, do support our friends at Town Fans supporting food banks as well. Cash donations or food donations if you can. Head to their Twitters to figure out stuff. And a thank you from me, everyone, for watching. I'll stick some comments up if you want to say goodbye. Seb, do you want to do a slow goodbye and give me a nod when you're done so I can queue up the outro so you can do your salutes to everyone?
Give me the everyone. Warning. Thank you to everyone for getting involved in the chat tonight. It's been great. Now, it's been a jam-packed show, hasn't it? Doing
jam-packed
Bristol and Plymouth and third kits, and it feels a very busy show. I don't know. Have you got the league table to hand?
I put the league table up.
Did anyone find Norwich? Because they're still not there. It's weird. It's weird. They're still not there. I'm looking forward to the Norwich pre-match show. I think it might be quite fun. I think we might get ourselves in a bit of trouble on that night. But no, thank you. Look, it's a great, as the league table proves there, it's an absolutely brilliant time to be a Town fan. We deserve this after the years of dross. I promise I won't jinx the game by doing anything admin related on our Telegram group. If you want to get the outro ready, I'll do my usual. Go to the Greyhound, support the guys down there. Have a great time at Portman Road. Here's to 3 more points, 6 points for the week off 2 games. The promotion charge continues. Enjoy it, everybody. Come on, you Blues.